Okay, Sheila, we got you.
I'm here. How
Great.
are you?
I'm awesome. Awesome. We are live now. And you look great. And thank you.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. And I want to say thank you to everyone on Facebook and on YouTube Live for joining us. Thank those of you who are in Crowdcast for joining us. And those of you who are on Facebook and YouTube, if you want to contribute live in this discussion, that is, post in a chat room or either ask questions of Sheila, please be sure to join us. I included a link to this Crowdcast event so that you can click on and join right here in Crowdcast. Otherwise, feel free to leave your comments, in the chat box in Facebook or on YouTube Live. We will make sure we collect the comments and I'll share them with Sheila and she can get back to you, just as soon as she can. Just realize that this is Thanksgiving holiday and she's a solopreneur just like I am, and she's getting ready for the holiday. So are you. So without further ado, I just want to introduce you to why we're here. We are, first of all, this is Nonprofit Utopia. This is the Nonprofit Utopia Crowdcast. And we are an online community. We have provided a safe environment for professional development and for people to talk about their concerns in nonprofit. If you want to learn more, you can go to nonprofitutopia.mn.co. And if you are listening directly in Crowdcast, you can just click that Join Nonprofit Utopia button. Our purpose today is not to solely encourage you to join Nonprofit Utopia. We actually have some information for you to learn, and we hope you can take back with you. And if you have any questions, we want you to be sure to contact Sheila. She's awesome, especially taking time out on this holiday. So, just want to remind people that this is the marketing month for Nonprofit Utopia. All month we've been talking about subjects in marketing. We went through the process of developing marketing plans and we touched on social media. And, I am not a social media guru like Sheila is. She is a certified social marketing guru, and I'll read the exact name and she can correct me if I'm wrong. So she will answer questions and direct you to further training. So again, Sheila Lewis is a business strategy and communications leader, and she helps startups, nonprofits, professional associations, entrepreneurs, and Fortune 500 global brands tell stories that reach, serve, and engage customers. And not only customers, but clients and other constituencies. And this is the perfect time because, as you know, we're coming up on Giving Tuesday on Tuesday. Sheila is a certified social media strategist, and she has delivered over 1,000 hours of instructor-led training to boards of directors, as well as certificate-seeking adults. She regularly leads planning retreats and is a media coach focusing on podcasting and video production. Sheila currently serves on the advisory board of WBEZ, Chicago's radio station. Find her at Digital Sheila on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So as you can see, we are definitely blessed to have Sheila give of her time today.
Well,
So
thank you so much, Valerie. I'm glad to be here.
yes, thank you. Thank you. And as I mentioned before, we're talking about marketing here in the Nonprofit Utopia community. And we talked about strategies and we talked about how important it was to link your strategies to your overall strategic plan as well as your programs. Now we're here today to actually delve a little bit deeper into social marketing to social media marketing to make sure that people actually link their messages to their strategies. All too often we see a disconnect. So given the fact that you're a marketing strategist and social media, you're the perfect person. So before we get started, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Exactly how did you get started in social media marketing?
Well, I like to say I tell great stories and I hope you tell yours better. Funny story. As I was preparing for this, I had forgotten this little thing. When I was in grade school, I went to Catholic school back east. I used to always get caught talking. Everybody else would be talking, but I would be the one that would get in trouble. And what we had to do was write, I must not talk excessively in class 250 times. That was the punishment. And thinking about that, that gave me a chuckle because I never thought that would eventually be something that I would use later in life. Um, so writing and talking, and that's pretty much what I've done
Oh, that's funny.
most of my life. I had a business partner. We had a boutique video and TV production company for over 10 years. And
Awesome.
as the director of communications and as the executive producer, we worked with a lot of global brands and a lot of advertising agencies. And we developed a lot of different types of content. So I was able to hone my skills in video, in web series, and podcasting, in writing for the script is writing for the ear, not the eye, very different from writing for print. And as the boutique production company of record, we were often looked to bring new skills to the table. How can we take an event where we're capturing video and extend the shelf life of that story? And as social media became more of something that people wanted to implement, I decided to get certified. So I'm certified by Hootsuite, and I got certified in 2012, a long time ago.
Wow.
And there are lots of different social media platforms out there now. There's Sprout Social, there's just a ton of them. But Hootsuite was the first in the game, and especially if you were in the agency world. So you can not only manage your story, but manage the stories of others. And that's what's really important. Social media strategy is not actually just the tactics of, oh, you're on YouTube, oh, you're on Facebook, oh, you're on all the platforms, but it's really about governance, about policy, about crisis management, about what to do when things happen. So you develop this overall plan, and then you execute on the tactics. Everything is about a story. What I want to share with everyone is that a lot of people, especially in the nonprofit world, will tie social media to marketing, and I can't disagree with that. But what I will say is that many nonprofits, especially your smaller ones, don't have a marketing area. They have a development person who's also responsible for communications. And they
Okay.
might outsource the marketing for an event, or they might have a vendor who does the graphic design, or maybe someone that does a marketing campaign. But they might not always have someone on site. So it's really, really important that people understand how to tell a story and how to tell stories that reach, serve, and engage. It means reach, serve, and engage, because we want to have a background relatedness, right? I want to be able to relate to you. You want to be able to relate to me. And the only way that you can do that is by connecting through that conversation.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And this is the time, especially since we're gearing up for year end. Not only are we doing marketing for Giving Tuesday, but you would hope that the marketing and social media contact would continue throughout the year. So the beauty of this conversation is we're going to share with people how they can, continue to work on the lessons that we're going to learn today throughout the year. So one of the things I think that differentiates you from others is you actually have certification in social media. Can you tell us what that entails?
So I had to actually learn the strategy around social media. I had to learn about policy and governance meaning how do you onboard employees and empower them to be
Mhm.
able to develop messaging and send the messaging, but have the proper oversight.
Mhm.
What kinds of messaging do you want for um, your different audiences, and who's responsible for
Mhm.
sending that information out? Um, the training was less platform dependent because platforms change, algorithms change, everything changes within the platform. Facebook buys everybody, things happen. So making sure that you have a foundation
Mhm.
for understanding how to proceed so that you can educate and inform the people who are doing it for you, because you'll have likely um, a social media coordinator
Right.
actually executing, right? But if
Right.
she doesn't know the strategy, you never know what she's going to do or he's going to do. So it's really important to understand governance, understand policy. And I was trained on, what to do, what to do in the case of, and you have a
Mhm.
crisis management. And that ties back into, my 360-degree communications around how it's important to be in the what if and being able to improvise, and more importantly, guide the people who are actually executing on your behalf.
Okay, so
Uh,
as part of the training you might provide, do you also help people develop policies and procedures around social media?
Absolutely. I'm a process and project management girl first and foremost.
Mhm.
So I get into the weeds and into the details. In the former life, I was in finance, so that's a whole nother story. But uh, what is the common denominator is that everything is project management. Everything in your personal life is project management.
Yes.
Everything in your professional life is project management, right? So you need
Mhm.
to understand the steps first before you can execute. And then we talk about what platforms and what to use on different platforms and how to best get the best out of those platforms. But that's changing as we talk. Instagram is talking about removing likes. So if it's all about engagement, then how are you going to calculate your ROI now? Everybody's like back at the drawing board. Now what we're going to do? We're going to now pay, for it. I train people and show them the differences between owned social media, earned social media, paid social media. And when you have limited budgets in some nonprofits, you need to really work
Mhm.
your social media a little bit harder. And that all goes back to telling a compelling story, crafting a compelling story. Everybody needs to know how to craft that. It's not just the social media person. In the ideal world, the social media person is executing. Somebody else is crafting the story, but sometimes that's one and the same. You got a fund development person who's responsible for communications,
Mhm.
then they're writing the story. Your CEO needs to tell a compelling story. Your
Mhm.
board needs to be able to tell a compelling story. Your volunteers really need to tell a compelling story, because those are the tentacles that reach out into the different networks that's going to sustain you in your donor management throughout the year.
Okay, that's awesome. And Danny Johnson, we want to thank you so much for that comment. He indicated that it's very important to write for the ear and not for the eye. Do you have any thoughts about that? I know he didn't ask a question, but I just wanted to get a sense for whether you had any thoughts about that.
Yeah, that's what I shared earlier about when you are developing your content, you want to write for what people listen to, because everyone's not going to sit here and watch us. Think about the news in the morning when you're getting dressed to go to work. You don't
Mhm.
really sit down and watch the news. You turn it on, you jump in the shower, you make your coffee. So you're listening.
I
You're
got
not
you.
watching. And that's a very different writing style. It's not the AP style, making sure your I's are dotted.
Right,
You're using a lot of alliteration. You're writing
right.
in shorter sentences. You have a lot more license to be compelling and draw people in and wanting them to have more. You have to throw some teasers out there.
Okay, good, good, good. So when we're developing our marketing strategy, at what point do we start thinking about social media and the implementation for social media?
So here's where I stray from everybody else. Most marketers like to think of social media within promotion, and I get that.
Okay.
But social media is a continual conversation. It's a conversation like you're having with me right now. And you
Mhm.
need to, especially in nonprofit management, managing donors is a continual conversation. This is a relationship, right? You want to really, do people wake up on Giving Tuesday and say, oh, I'm going to write a check to this unknown nonprofit that I've never written to before? Usually you've developed a relationship over a period of time,
Mhm.
and you have been connected in that conversation, and how you tell that story will vary. So yes, in the marketing mix, in the promotion area, if you have a big fundraiser coming up, your messaging will be focused on that fundraiser or that gala or that event.
Mhm.
But really, social media is about communications.
Mhm.
And even in big corporations, how social media is structured could vary, and it depends on what your org chart looks like, right? It could be housed under communications and public relations, right? And yes, they have to work hand in hand, but it's not like, sort of, oh, let's wait till promotion. Let's get past product and place and price, and let's wait till we get to promotion. No, this is an ongoing conversation,
Mhm.
and nonprofits have a rich treasure trove of stories.
Mhm.
Stories about their history, stories about their members, stories about the volunteers. Someone should be regularly capturing those stories. And the only way, well, it's not the only way, but the best way to do that, as you know, is what we're doing right now, is video. Video, think about it. Prior to 18 months ago, there were really no, 2 years ago, Facebook Lives. Now we got Instagram Live. Hell, LinkedIn now has lives. You got to apply for it, and
Right.
they have to
Right.
approve you. But LinkedIn has lives. You have Instagram TV. You have IG stories. And what's great about IGTV is that now it shows up in your feed. You have Facebook Watch. Everyone wants to be in video. That is the trend. And so learning to tell that story, telling it well through video, is going to be packed to everything that you do.
Okay, awesome. That's a great segue into our next question. I was going to ask you to give us an overview of what the landscape for social media looks like.
So, social media, I want people to really understand, is the landscape is, it's a platform. Just like you have different networks on TV. You have CBS, you have NBC, you have ABC, right? So we have
Mhm.
Pinterest, and we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have TikTok, we have Twitch, we have a whole bunch of stuff that we know about and not know about. Those are just platforms. But you need to develop shows or content for those platforms, right? That's the
Mhm.
messaging. So I like for people to focus on meeting people where they are, right? Who
Okay.
who are you targeting? Who's your target audience? And where do they live? That's the platform that people should be on. So that's the overall social media landscape. I'm not an advocate for one or the other. If your target audience is on Twitch, then that's where you need to be. If your target audience is on IG and they go live every day and
Mhm.
they have stories every day, then that's where you want to be. You should have a presence on all, but you don't need to be active on all. I think that's really important, especially when you have limited resources.
Mhm.
Um, Social media landscape is now evolving and being used for many different things. Before it was just, let me talk to you. Now it's a two-way conversation, right? So
Mhm.
engagement is not just about me liking what you did, but also asking your audience what they want. That is the beauty of social media. Now you can go straight and have a direct conversation. That is better than any kind of advertising,
Mhm.
because that's not direct to your constituency. It's not direct to your consumer or direct to your client. Social media allows you, we don't have to even have a focus group, guys. It allows me to
Right.
talk directly to you and have you tell me the answer right now in real time if we choose.
Right.
So the landscape really is about leveraging
Mhm.
those networks for where your people are. Meet them where they are.
Okay, that is a wonderful, wonderful piece of advice. And as you were talking, I'm just wondering to myself, how do you know which, where your people are? I would imagine that people on Facebook are somewhat different than people on Twitter and the other media that you talked about.
Absolutely. So first of all, you want to ask, if you are in a nonprofit and you're in your donor management, do a simple poll. A simple poll. Hey, do you use social media? What do you like about social media? Do you like long stories? Do you like short stories? 5 question poll. That's again, I believe in
Oh,
going direct to the source. Ask your current volunteers. So hub and spoke, so here's the nonprofit organization, and then spoke out to all the different stakeholders.
I got.
So you've got the CEO, you've got your board members. Chances are your board members are on Facebook, they're not hanging out on Twitter. Maybe they are, maybe
Right.
they're not. If you are a uh, social services nonprofit and you're smaller and you're giving clothes away, say career minded, you probably want to be on IG, right? Because that's more visual. So really developing that mind map where you have the hub, your organization, and your spokes, all your different stakeholders, and asking questions of them each, because you're going to tailor your message. The
Ah,
message to the CEO and to the board of directors will be different than the volunteers and specific donors. And there may be some overlap, but what a person who chooses to serve on your board is interested in may be very different than someone who just wants a one-off volunteer opportunity. So you definitely want to ask directly your stakeholders where they are, and then craft your messages to that particular platform.
okay, so what if I'm so busy? I got a 1 or 2 person shop, right? I'm so busy, I don't have time to do social media.
Mm,
What might my strategies be, if I don't have time to do
mm.
social media?
So I would say there's no such thing as not having time to do
Hmm.
social media, because you don't have to be on it all day, every day. With social media management tools, you can take 5 hours a week, craft your messages, schedule them through a management tool, and let them roll out over the week. So if someone says to me they don't have time, then I would say, then you haven't manage the priority of communicating with your audience, because what we're talking about here is a conversation, is an ongoing conversation. And if you're not choosing to use social media at all,
Hmm.
it's like not having your phone. I mean, like, it's like not even imaginable to me. I'm trying to even think of an instance. Like, it's not even imaginable. I can understand if you only want to be on one platform, I'm all for that. But leverage the heck out of that platform. Drive deep, not wide. Always
Hmm.
drive deep. Connections is all about Facebook right now. Their focus is on video,
Hmm.
content that is created around video in groups. What does that mean? We're only going to be able to drive deeper our connections with you, right? Everybody who has a TV show on Facebook Watch also has a group to continue the conversation. So not being on social media is not an option, really.
Hmm.
Um, in a limited resource environment, you need to be very specific about how much time you're going to allocate to creating the message and then executing on distributing that message, because the platform is about distribution. And really, you really want to talk about engagement. Engagement is really important. And going back and looking at your numbers, numbers count. Metrics matter. If you're
Right.
not going back in 3 months, 2 months, looking at your numbers, looking at your engagement, seeing what your ROI is on that investment, then you're really not using it and leveraging it well.
Okay. So, what would be some of the strategies you would recommend to maximize engagement, regardless of what platform you're on?
I hate to say this, but going live
Hmm.
and um, 3 things: going live.
Okay.
For short periods of time. We're having a longer conversation for short periods of time, because people right now are inundated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go live for a short period of time, people can consume that content in a way that is convenient for them. They could be commuting, they could be on the train, they could be in the car listening, they could be washing the dishes. So, short form content is really important. Uh, People need to get into podcasting. I cannot say this more. Podcasting is not just for, oh my God, I want to listen to these two hosts talk. Podcasting reaches a wide audience and allows you to uh, reach people in a non-invasive way. They don't have to sit here and watch it. They can listen to it, and you're sharing knowledge. You're sharing that audio story. I mean, the original audio story was radio, right? One
Right,
of the
right.
reasons why I volunteer my time to be on the advisory board for BEZ is the what stories are we telling? Are we reaching those audiences? And are our stories really getting out there?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's not going to watch video. Video takes up some bandwidth, right? But I'll listen to it. I'll listen to a 10-minute segment
Mm-hmm.
on what I need to know today and make it episodic. Show up consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Show up consistently. Don't like run out of steam, do like 20 posts today, and then I don't see you for another week. It's okay to do 2 posts today. It's okay to record 2 little snippets. And when I say podcasting, there's a whole realm of things. But you know what? Really, it's an audio narrative, right? If you are just
Mhm.
recording on your phone from the application that came native with your phone, you record something and you upload it, that is allowing people to listen to you, right? Throw
Right.
a, throw a nice little graphic in the front of it, make a video, and let people hear what you have to say, and be focused. I tell people
Mm-hmm.
all day long, I said I can be verbose. I actually have notes because I want to stay focused, and I want people to understand not just the strategy but the tactics as well. People overlook the benefit of um, listening, you
Right.
know, and bite-sized chunks. That is a strategy that people need to implement immediately. Video, we all have smartphones now. Before, when we had the video production company, we had whole crews of people. We had what we call ENG, over the shoulder, electronic news gathering,
Mm-hmm.
$50,000 cameras,
Wow.
showing up for a shoot,
Right.
in a 4-pack with a production team, in a separate editing team. Now people have pretty damn good video capabilities on the phone. And again, it's about getting to the heart of telling the story. So if you are a food bank and you are at a remote location and you're seeing people lined up around the corner to come pick up their turkey, take your phone and go down that line and high
Oh, I
five
love it.
everyone. Share the energy and post it immediately. So that's what it's make it a natural. Social media should be a natural part of what you do. A couple of weeks ago, there's a local nonprofit hashtag lunch bag, and my girlfriend and I have been trying to do this. They do it once a month, first Saturday a month at the promontory. My girlfriend and I have been saying we're going to do this all year. We looked up and I was like, it's November. I'm coming to school. We're going, right? We get there and it's like, by within 30 minutes, there's like at least 75 people writing little notes on the lunch bags. So literally I just did a little video. I just like me scanned the room and posted it. People are like, where is that? Where are you?
Oh,
That
wow.
took no energy, none
Okay.
whatsoever. I did it on now. The great thing with, or not so great, however you look at it, Facebook owning Instagram, is that I was able to post it in my Insta stories and boom, automatically share it out to Facebook. Just like right now, you're doing this live on Facebook and it's automatically being shared out to YouTube. I mean, that's what's wonderful about the applied technology. So it's really important to capture in the moment. Get the energy of the moment. It doesn't have to be some long, drawn out, pre-planned. What's our messaging? What's our content? Get the copywriters. What is the moment? Because the impact is what everybody wants to see. If I'm
Oh,
giving you my money, where's my money going?
right, right, right,
like,
right.
is it really benefiting people? That's what everybody wants to know. my individual donation, if you have corporate social responsibility work, they're going to want to know what are the measurable outcomes. If you have foundation money, if you have grant money, if you want to recruit a board, when that board engagement, they want to know, what's your success, what's your track record. What no better way to tell that than by short clips. You could be like, hey, look at my feed from the past 30 days. And they can see the impact of what you're doing.
Okay, as you were talking, a couple things came to mind. One was, how you can use social media to actually repurpose other content from, say a blog or newsletter. Do you see any value in that, and how it might be, how you can do it without seeming, redundant?
Oh no, absolutely. You should always repurpose content. My approach to developing content is always, how can I extend the shelf life? And
Okay.
extending the shelf life means it's old news if it happened last week, right?
Right.
So we don't want to necessarily talk about, our annual gala. I don't want to hear about that. It happened in June. I'm not listening now. But what content can I extract while I'm at the gala that is what we call evergreen content that you can have on different platforms regardless of the date or time.
Mm-hmm.
So here's an example. If you have a podcast, a short audio narrative about the impact that your day of giving, you're making the lunch bags worked out, you can then do a transcript of that podcast or that audio narrative, and then that's automatically written content for your newsletter. Boom. Like, you didn't even have to you just need to edit it. You didn't even have to write a whole new thing. You had it on audio because everyone's not going to listen. So you're reaching people where they are. Everyone's not going to sit down and read. I'm in traffic often. I listen to every podcast imaginable. I'm going to be more likely to listen than to read, except for, when I'm getting my nails done, which I haven't had a chance to do. Then I want to sit down and just read and be in the moment. So you're not only just reaching people where they are, but how they interact across devices. One of the things that I wish they had captured this, because in #lunchbag, we when you first walk in, it's not just making the sandwiches and putting them in the bag. That's the end part. The first part is you have little pieces of paper and you write inspiring little notes, and then you're decorating the outside of the brown paper bag and putting the notes in the bag. So my other friend who's been doing this forever, I said, do these people really read the notes? Or do they just want the lunch? Like, I'm a foodie, so I'm like all about the food. I'm like, I just want to eat the food. I said, does this really make a difference, is what I want to know, because we were spending a lot of energy and time. There was like 50 people writing notes. We gave out 1,000 lunches. That's a lot of notes and a lot of bags to decorate. And she said, absolutely. She said she actually had the chance to sit down with one of the sites that they gave the sandwiches to, and the people were almost one-upping each other. They're like, what does your note say? No, my note says this. What is your note? Oh, I didn't get a note in my bag. They missed me. Let me see the outside of your bag. My artwork is better than the others. And I was like, oh my God, what a great story. And it made me feel better about the time that I was spending. Like I said, I'm a process girl. So I was just like, does this just feel good for me? Is this really going to make a difference? Me, the individual volunteer.
Right.
That was my only thing. And I had to pay. I was like, wait a minute, I got to pay to volunteer? How does this work? So I was really taken aback and grateful that she had that experience. And my first thought was like, that needs to be captured. That needs to be captured. In a way that is not exploitative, in a way that uplifts and amplifies not only the work that the organization is doing, but also the recipients, that the impact on the people. I mean, because that's the individual story. I was just so grateful to learn that.
Oh, that is great. So you just create engagement everywhere you go. Whatever
I tell great stories. I'm going to help you tell yours better.
Yes. I love it. And for those folks who are in Nonprofit Utopia, listen to this capacity building. She just said, I tell great stories, but I help you tell yours better. So remember Sheila. And Sheila, before we finish, can you let us know how we can contact you? And we'll ask again, but people may not be able to hear for the whole thing.
Got you. The best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn. Send me a message there because that's where I conduct all of my business. At Digital Sheila, Sheila. And I have an offer because Black Friday, I got sucked in. Okay. I said I wasn't going to do it, but
awesome.
I'm going to offer half off my consulting services for anyone who chooses to purchase within the next 7 days. So they have 7 whole days. They don't have to just do it on Friday because it is, we got to get back to cooking.
Right.
But half off a half a day, right? I don't want this to be long term. I want people to bring me their problems and let me solve it. It could be an ask me anything session. I like to do social media audits because my whole focus is looking at what you've already done, seeing where the gaps are, and telling you and making recommendations and advising you and coaching you on how you can fill those gaps. Especially people are expecting, they're like, okay, it's Giving Tuesday, December 3rd. I got a whole month to get it in. And they want, percentages and conversions. And I was like, okay, have you developed a conversation and a connection? You have a background of relatedness with this person? Have you been doing anything all year long? I mean, yes, you're going to get a higher percentage of donations than throughout the year because it's the end of year tax write-offs. People are in it for themselves, right? But if you want them to be in it for you, you need to be telling those stories consistently. And you have an opportunity within these last 5 weeks to get your story together, as your family would say, get your story together.
Right. And the beauty of the timing of this particular show is people can also start getting ready for the next year, right? So you can work with people to help them plan out their next year.
Absolutely. That reminds me of, planning. I always say, develop a content calendar, right? And I'm like new school, old school, right? I love all of my applied technology. I got 200 apps on my phone. I'm coming to you now via the app of Crowdcast. I'm not even on the desktop because I love what it can do for me mobile and on the go. I was like, suppose I'm not home and I need to do this. I need to be able to do it with ease and grace. Content calendar, planning that out allows you to do it ease and grace. I print out the old school calendar that has the little squares on it with the dates, and you begin with the end in mind.
Okay.
What is it that you want to achieve, right? Maybe your big thing, you have a big gala and all your energy and resources goes into that in June, and you need to blow that out the park. First, begin with the end in mind. What is your goal for the year? Maybe you see an uptick in individual donors and you want to cultivate that audience more because that's a larger percentage than your grants or your foundation or your institutional money. Well, then let's plan that out. And literally, first thing I put on that calendar is all the stuff that's related to my organization or the organization that I'm consulting with. So throw those dates in. Then the next thing you do is throw generic dates in. Like, okay, that of course relates to you. So if it's breast cancer month, and you're a breast cancer or a women's organization, you want to make sure you have that in there. You want to put in all of those dates and then back into it. Leading up to it, what messages do you want to send? And that will give you a great foundation for knowing how much time it's going to take you to capture those stories. Because in general, people are like, oh my God, I don't know the stories. Okay, I don't know how to get in touch with the people. Okay, great. Maybe you don't. This is the place to start. So bring out that phone while you're on the food line. Boom, you've got this captured. And get it organized. Find a place in the cloud, whatever is your cloud service of choice. Upload all that stuff. So then you can begin to craft the stories and repurpose them and distribute them over time to your select audiences.
Okay, great. So we are encouraging those of you who are in Crowdcast to post your questions and comments of Sheila Those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, if you see the link to join directly in Crowdcast, if you have any questions or comments, we're encouraging you, please do so right now. Join us directly in Crowdcast so that we can see your questions and comments. If you choose not to join us in Crowdcast, please post your comments and questions directly on YouTube Live or directly in Facebook, and I will make a point to get everything to Sheila. All righty. So Sheila, thank you so much. And again, we're coming up on Giving Tuesday, but this conversation is for Giving Tuesday, and beyond, right?
Yes.
So one of the questions I have to ask you is, what are some of the elements of a strong social media strategy?
You have to have your story down and what audience you're sharing it to. Sometimes that means investing in copywriter services, right?
Okay.
Hire a copywriter for this time frame, because let's just say simple email. Email opens all depend on the subject line, right?
Right.
Subject line's got to be compelling, so it's a phased approach. If you don't have a good subject line, they're not going to open the email. If you don't have good impact story written, they're not going to continue to read at the end. You have an easy way for people to donate. So many times, oh my God, this is my pet peeve, that I see something and I'm like, okay, where's the link? Or okay, is there a donate button? Or I got to go through 5 clicks. Need to make it simple for people to donate. So the design of your email newsletter is extremely important. And most people these days are using email. I mean, already I've gotten emails talking about Giving Tuesday is coming.
Right.
Like, oh my God. I was like, we're not even there yet. And I'm getting them. And because I consult with nonprofits and I have a strong personal civic engagement policy that I spend a lot of my time with nonprofits, I get a ton of solicitations. So I always say to people, how are you going to stand out from the crowd for people like me who's getting inundated? So I have a specific amount of money I'm going to give, and then I have to choose. How are you going to stand out from the crowd? That compelling story. Make it simple. Get an audio narrative up in there. Get a 30-second audio narrative right there in the email. Design that email and make it episodic. Give them a tease. Oh my God, did you want to know what happened to Tom when he was able to get this big box? Come back tomorrow. Come back next week. I'll tell you why. What? We're on Facebook. Watch. We're on Facebook's, giving program. Did you know that they give double? Everybody doesn't know that they double if you up to $7 million for approved nonprofits. Many people don't know that. Share that information. I love it when I have the opportunity to have my money get doubled. Like I said, my background is finance, so I love it. It's like more coin for the organization. People who are in corporate, if you're reaching out to individual donors who work in a corporation, they often have a matching gift program. Remind people of that. So your email newsletter needs to be strong. It needs to be strong with that subject line. It needs to be tight with the copy. I don't need 5 paragraphs. You need a tight copy, and you need something different, a differentiator to stand out from the crowd. What audio narrative are you including? What video link are you including that will be episodic, that will make people not roll their eyes upwards when they get the 10th email from you during the season?
Okay, great. And we've got a wonderful question from Danny Johnson. He asks, what's the one thing a nonprofit needs to begin using video in their social media campaign?
The one thing a nonprofit needs to begin using social media, the one thing. They need that
video.
They need a video capture device.
Okay.
And that's your phone. I mean, of course, I love DSLRs and all of the larger formats, but really good people, all you need is your phone. This is DIY for a lot of small nonprofits, or they may be overwhelmed. Even if they have the budget, they may be overwhelmed and don't have time to outsource and look for a um, video production company. They use your phone and get in touch with the people that you are helping. So if you are, again, a social service nonprofit, and tell the story in a simple story structure. If someone was going to a job interview, and whether or not they got the job, but they didn't have the right attire, you need that before and after. You need to understand not how they looked before and after, but how they felt before
Oh,
and
wow.
after. It's not about how they look. It's not. It's about, come on. We walk taller when we got our lipstick on. You know what I mean? When we got our face done. Just like when we were planning this the other day, I was like, oh, this is too grainy. I can't do this. I don't.
Right, right, right.
Everyone wants to feel good about their
Mhm.
presentation, and you can't feel good if you don't look the part. And so you want to capture how they felt, because again, the impact, yes, you want them to get the job, but if your impact is all about making sure that they have gently used professional clothes, then you've done your job and you've shown the benefit of why your mission needs to be manifested in this way. So you can start with where you are with what you have. Start where you are with what you have. Of course, I love larger productions, but always start with what you have. Everybody has a smartphone.
Mhm.
Everybody. And it's got a video capability. Capture. Everyone has a phone that has audio capability. Okay?
Mhm.
Capture those stories, the feel goods, the impact stories, the this is how I was before, and this is how I am now, thanks to your organization.
Oh, that is so beautiful. You really do, you tell stories in everything you do. So I really appreciate that. And you're just reeling me in. And I'm just wondering too, what advice would you give people to engage, say, their board members in this journey? Because, sometimes there's a disconnect between the board members and staff who are actually doing this social media promotion.
So if we're talking about board of director engagement, a lot of times, first of all, they have a fiduciary responsibility if they're on the board or looking to be on the board. They're thinking higher level, 50,000 feet in the air, governance, policy, fundraising. Is this a financially sustainable organization? If you are having challenges, what is your plan to getting there? You still need to tell them that story, but you need to tell the story more about the organization. Yes, about the feel good, but you need to tell them about the inner workings of the organization, because no one wants to be on the board of an organization that's like chaotic and about to fall apart, right?
Mhm.
And if you are chaotic and about to fall apart, you need to be authentic, have
Mhm.
integrity, and share that and tell them this is why we need you,
Mhm.
because we're falling apart. Tell them that story directly, because they want to be on the board for giving back using their professional higher level skills. So you need to speak to them in your professional higher level skills. What do your financials look like? Be direct. I cannot begin to tell you how many times people join a board and then they don't even donate to the organization themselves. That's blasphemy. Is your board,
Right.
and you know what? That's funders, corporate funders, foundations, corporate social responsibility. First thing you want to do is they're going to look up that board makeup, that board mix, and how are they financially contributing to the organization. If you don't believe enough to financially contribute as a board member, then especially if the organization doesn't have a give, get, or ask, then the funder is going to wonder whether or not you have a sustainable organization. So your organizational structure, how sound is your house?
Hmm. Okay, and then getting the board members to actually participate, in these conversations online. Is that difficult? What's been your experience in getting them to actually do social media?
Well, that depends on the board. So I have the beauty of working with nonprofits that are young.
Mhm.
Like City Viewer, they're young, they're hip, they're engaging.
Mhm.
Everything is done through an app. I'm not working with their board, but I volunteer for them. But I see how they operate, and everything is through social media and leveraging applied technology, project management. How people get paid. Everything is wonderful. uh, Most recently, I won't name the organization, but it was a theater company. And their board was an older board, and they had been on the board for a while.
Mhm.
And I was sharing how to engage different members or to get more people to be interested because they were going through new board members. To get people to you first got to get them interested. You have to be online. Somebody has to be online.
Yeah.
And usually I ask if a board member is rolling off, what did you like about your time here? What didn't you like about it? It's an interview, it's a two-way conversation. No different, you're going for a job. How did this position become open? What is the culture here? It's a two-way street. And I want to know what I'm walking into. And if I'm walking into something that's older, you want to make sure there's a right fit. So I always share with the board members who may be a little more um, challenging around social media that if they're unwilling, that's fine. They should have someone who
Mhm.
is. So a lot of times these are professionals who are in companies where they can have someone do that on their behalf, right? So as long as it gets done is what's important.
Okay.
And they can see the value of connecting. So that's why I always say I focus honestly less on the social media platform because then people delve into the weeds. I don't
Mhm.
like Facebook. I don't like Twitter, that tweeting, that bird stuff. We're not gonna delve into that. We're focusing on what's the story. Can you tell a good story? If you can't tell a good story, let me help you tell a better story so that you can get it out there to reach, serve, and engage. That's all I want to do. Tell a better story, reach, serve, and engage. Get your numbers up, get your metrics up, but tell that story. We can argue. I argue with people over Facebook. People like Facebook is old. I'm like, I like Facebook for groups. I like Facebook for events. It does that really well. I have very specific groups I'm involved in around my interests.
Mhm.
And all the events I want to do, I love it because I can just say, yes, I'm going, export to calendar, and boom. I don't have to remember anything. Just click a button. It's wonderful. Do I get into long diatribes on Facebook? Absolutely not. I don't have time for all of that. You
Mhm.
know, I go right back to Instagram because Instagram, I can tell a more engaging story. I can make it beautiful with visuals. You need visuals.
Mhm.
Just text is no longer going to do it. You need a visual, whether or not that's just a nice graphic or a picture that you just took. Everything that you have is right there available to you.
Okay. Great, great. So, what are some of the strategies you might recommend for actually growing an audience on social media?
Well, first you have to figure out where your tribe is. So that might take a little time.
Mhm.
And the way you grow an audience is by engaging with them and then asking them.
Mhm.
I've had to ask for a lot of things in life, especially from the world of finance.
Mhm.
Ask them who else could benefit
Mhm.
from this. Who else do you know who's looking for a volunteer opportunity? Because those networks are exponential. I posted on my IG about hashtag lunchbag, and that went out to my network exponentially. All right. I connect and then I tagged four people that I knew who it went out to their network exponentially. So ask people to share other networks. And if there's something that they're not interested in, ask them why not.
Mhm.
You want that feedback, you want that knowledge. So you want to own your own space and your earned space. That's the earned space. You want people talking about you. That's the earned. You earned it. What you own is just what you place up there. This is my
Okay.
story. This is my visual. That's what you own. Earned is what people share about you.
Mhm.
The people who choose to share out different resources, you've earned that. Lunchbag hashtag earned the opportunity to have me share about them to reach out to my network of people and the people of people. So it's
Mhm.
totally exponential. If people don't ask people to share, while they're engagement? What did you like about this story? What stories do you want to hear? How can we help you raise your giving? Just be direct in your ask and ask them to share it out. Often you'll see these contests. It'll be like, you get a chance to win, $5 if you A, like this page, B, tag somebody, C, share it on YouTube. You gotta do 5 things in order just to get that one thing. But guess what? Those 4 different platforms, 5 different people, it's automatically exponentially shared. Also, on Instagram, people do not overlook your hashtag strategy. It's not so much on Facebook, but for sure on IG, your hashtag strategy. People follow hashtags on
Okay.
IG. All right. So you want to do some hashtag research, first of all. Who are the people that are following you on IG? What hashtags do they follow as it relates to your nonprofit or any kind of philanthropic civic engagement activity? What are your peer organizations? What hashtags are they using, or who you might consider are doing better than you in that area? And what hashtags do you want to be associated with, right? And
Mhm.
encourage people to follow that. Use those hashtags religiously. Like, have your 10, not 25, 10. 10 is enough. When I start to see the whole paragraph down, I'm like, I'm not reading through it all. The benefit of that is that people follow hashtags. People search on hashtags. Search, SEO, search engine optimization, is going to take you further than you can ever go by yourself. It's like, do you want to go alone, or do you want to go fast? Do you want to go alone and go slow, or you want to go faster and go with everyone else? You want to leverage those hashtags so that the search engine can do its job.
Okay, great. We've got time for one more question from me. I'm encouraging anyone who is listening, if you're on Facebook, please click onto the link for Crowdcast so you can post your question if you want to hear from Sheila directly. If you're here with us in Crowdcast, if you have any more questions, please feel free to post. And while we're waiting for them to post, Sheila, one last question from me. What are some of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, I took a deep breath on that one because there's so many. I'm trying to
Yeah.
focus on one. Um, it's almost like one of the things that I totally despise is when people send me a video and say, make this go viral.
You should see your expression.
So one of the things I think is unrealistic is when people think that, oh, you do the social media and then 2 months later, 3 months later, they don't see a lift in either engagement or a lift in audience. This is a relationship that you're developing with consistency over a period of time that you need to make sure that you are always evaluating. One of the things in agile project management methodology is iterative, short sprints and iterative. If it's not working, move on to the next thing. Don't spend 6 months and be like, well, that didn't work. Well, you didn't take time to figure out what was working, what wasn't working. The lesson that I've learned is that a lot of people want to wait to this time of year and go through a crowdfunding campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Crowdfunding takes an amazing amount of energy and labor and tactics. An amazing amount. People totally underestimate how much time it takes, and the people and the consistency and communicating and the planning in advance. So I have learned that you really need to plan for your campaign. Even if it's the day before Giving Tuesday, take the day and plan it. If you didn't plan it, you can't do this stuff by the seat of your pants because you'll get seat of the pants results. You want to plan what your messaging is going to be, plan who do you want to target that message to, and plan when you're going to go back and review it to see if it's working or not. It could be just those 3 things. What's your message? Who are you sending to? Is it working? If not, revise, improvise. I grew up on improvise. If that's not working, go on to the next thing. You know, I, I have a love-hate relationship with crowdfunding. Love, hate. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of people over a period of time. So I love the platform. I love that it makes it accessible for anyone. I love that there's now even equity crowdfunding for profits, for people who want equity investors or debt. But people really underestimate the amount of time and they don't plan enough in advance.
Okay, so we've got a question from Paula, and then after this question, we can close out.
Okay.
Her question is, when crafting end goals, where can a nonprofit find data for their sector to help develop realistic benchmarks?
Ooh, realistic benchmarks. So I like the who they just merged. GuideStar. Very good question. Thank you, Paula. I like to go to the nonprofit center, GuideStar, the nonprofit foundation, and GuideStar just merged.
They're now candid.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's what I couldn't remember the name. They
Mm-hmm.
have a treasure trove of information by type of nonprofit because a social service is different from a professional association, arts and culture, versus social justice. And those numbers will look different with the measurable outcomes for your funders. I also like to look at what people are doing right in my own backyard. So what are your collaborators, your peers, what are they doing, and have those conversations. Especially those who have received funding. You get a notice and you see somebody's received funding, especially like we're here in Chicago. So the big funders are MacArthur Foundation, Chicago Community Trust, Pritzker, Treehouse. When funders roll together, they see skin in the game, they want in too. So if an organization is getting funded, you want to talk directly to those program officers. They are the ones who can give you the best data. They have the best resources, and they're more than willing to give it to you. So that's what I love about it. They want that engagement. And if you want to get those kinds of dollars from them, you need to have the relationship with the program officer anyway, because they need to feel comfortable with you when you're applying for that particular grant. So going direct to funding officers from the funders themselves, and also going to Candid for the treasure trove is the two of the places that I would say where you can get direct data for your sector to develop benchmarks.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Sheila. I really, really, really appreciate this. And before we go, closing thoughts and how we can reach you.
My closing thoughts is to tell people to remember it's always about the story. I tell great stories and I help you tell yours better. I would love to be able to work with you to do a social media audit, a story audit, and help you get from where you are to where you want to be. The best way to reach me is at Digital Sheila. Send me an inbox on LinkedIn and we can have a conversation on how I can meet your goals. I am currently available to anyone who listens to this or see this for the next 7 days. 7 days. So the end of next Friday. So let's extend it out. We're not going to count tomorrow and Friday.
Okay, December 6th.
So what's next Friday's date?
December 6th.
Okay, December 6th, I'm offering half off for 4 hours of my services. So for $500, we have 4 hours for you to choose how you want me to work with you. It could be an Ask Me Anything session. It could be a very specific, let's comb through these number sessions and develop some KPIs and some KPIs, key performance indicators, and some metrics around your benchmarks. It could be, okay, I got this audio. What's the best way to edit it down so that we can stick it in this email and it can still go out, So you've got till December 6th. Connect with me at Digital Sheila on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So thank you very much. I want to thank our listening audience. Thank you to those who are in YouTube Live. We couldn't see your comments, but if you have made comments, we'll make sure that we get them to Sheila. I want to thank those of you who are listening on Facebook Live. Again, if you didn't have a chance to chime in here, leave your comments, and I'll make sure that Sheila gets them. And thank you for the people who have joined us in Crowdcast. You really, really made our day. And Sheila, you and I will be in contact. I want to share that information in my networks, and I will definitely be in contact with you for what we can do together, if it's okay with you.
Yes, absolutely. I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All righty. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Have a good day. Bye, y'all.
Okay.